Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Laura Prada from our Telesur studios here in Caracas, in Venezuela. We begin with our news. You stay with us. We begin in the United States because today President Donald Trump gave his third State of the Union address in the House chamber, where Trump impeachment process is also. Meanwhile, he's undergoing an impeachment process, and also when he's middle over the internal affairs of Latin American countries like Nicaragua, Cuba, and Venezuela, to whom he have also imposed more and tougher sanctions. Let's hear what he had to say about this during his State of the Union address.
We are supporting the hopes of Cubans, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans to restore democracy. The United States is leading a 59-nation diplomatic coalition against the socialist dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro.
One of the other topics presented by Trump was regarding the coronavirus spread and how the country will be dealing with this health emergency.
Protecting Americans' health also means fighting infectious diseases. We are coordinating with the Chinese government and working closely together on the coronavirus outbreak in China. My administration will take all necessary steps to safeguard our citizens from this threat. We have launched ambitious new initiatives to substantially improve care for Americans with kidney disease, Alzheimer's, and those struggling with mental health. And because Congress was so good as to fund my request, new cures for childhood cancer, and we will eradicate the AIDS epidemic in America by the end of this decade.
Moreover, in his speech, he referred to the wall on the U.S.-Mexico border and Trump assured that it would be one of big proportions.
This will be a tremendous boon to our already very strongly guarded southern border, where, as we speak, a long, tall, and very powerful wall is being built.
And one of the first countries to react to President Trump's State of the Union address was Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez from Cuba. He said via Twitter, as you are seeing on your screens, if President Trump wants to support the Cuban people, he would have to lift the genocidal blockade, resume the forbidden flights, and grant visas to Cuban. He should reestablish U.S. citizens' freedom to travel to Cuba. This was the tweet published by the Foreign Minister of Cuba, Bruno Rodriguez, just after the State of the Union address by President Donald Trump finished this evening. We stay and we keep talking about United States because, as you all know, this Monday in Iowa, Democratic Party held the caucus, but results didn't came up after this Tuesday evening. And as United States, Iowa Democratic Party said it will begin releasing the majority of the results from its presidential caucus at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, as I was just telling. The party blamed the more than 12-hour delay on a coding issue in the new app used to tabulate the results. There were unexplained inconsistencies which led to heated, I must say, conference calls and firm denials of hacking. In the absence of clear results, Democratic presidential hopefuls gave what appeared to be the victory speeches to supporters, turning their attention toward the next nomination contest in New Hampshire. And as I was telling you just before, The Democratic Party released the first numbers of this caucus held in Iowa with 62% of results ballots counted. The Iowa Democratic Party caucus put Pete Buttigieg in the lead. Pete Buttigieg took a narrow lead in the delegate race with 26.9%. Meanwhile, U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders is close behind in second place with 25.1% of the votes. Meanwhile, Elizabeth Warren secured 18.3% of the ballots, and Joe Biden ended up with 15.6%. We change topic back not far from U.S. in Mexico. Central American migrant died and at least 81 others, including women and children, got injured after a truck they were traveling on overturned in the state of Veracruz. The victims, mostly coming from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, were taken to 3 different state hospitals where they are receiving medical care. Those who suffered minor injuries were housed at a temporary facility in a children's shelter in San Andres Tuxtla. We move on to the Caribbean. Considering its long and successful history in petroleum industry, Trinidad and Tobago is positioning itself as an aid to other Caribbean countries who've recently had finds in the sector. Prime Minister Keith Rowley made the announcement at the country's 2020 Energy Conference, which began this Monday.
Trinidad and Tobago, with its long history in the industry, is well poised to assist the new entrants Guyana, Grenada, Barbados, Jamaica, and the Bahamas in the development of their petroleum sectors. To date, we have entered into memoranda of cooperation with Guyana, Grenada, and Barbados for provision of technical assistance. Preliminary discussions are in their early stages on the development of unitization agreements with Grenada and Barbados for the exploration of hydrocarbon reservoirs that extend beyond our respective maritime borders.
Also speaking at the event was Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who lamented the failure of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, which established the CARICOM single market and economy to address energy issues, including high production costs.
Electricity prices and energy prices in the Caribbean have been prohibitive, particularly for those of us who are trying to craft out a way for development for our people. And when you look at the fact that you are meandering between 20 US cents and 37 US cents to be able to produce electricity, no wonder the IMF has declared that this region is one of the regions that has had their competitiveness completely eroded by the cost of energy.
Meanwhile, questions are being raised as to whether Guyana, the world's newest major oil producer, made a bad deal with the U.S. oil giant ExxonMobil. The natural resource watchdog Global Witness says Guyana lost as much as $55 billion in revenue due to a poorly negotiated deal with the company. Like this, we make a first and very short break, but follow us on Twitter at Tulsa English and on my account at Laura Peterson. We'll be right back.
为了保持身体健康，我冥想。
Para mantenerme saludable, yo corro.
To keep myself healthy, I study. Για να διατηρηθώ υγιής, τρέφομαι σωστά.
Para mantenerme saludable, yo bailo.
Para mantenerme saludable, yo purifico mi espíritu a través del cuerpo. ¿Y tú?
Get Your Body. Tuesdays, only on Telesur. Our actions have an impact on the environment. It's our responsibility to change for the sake of our planet. Let's be part of this transition. Watch, preserve, and protect your Green Zone. Wednesdays, only on Telesur.
We are back with our news. China has urged international health agencies and authorities to implement stricter measures to contain the novel coronavirus. President Xi Jinping called for more effective screening methods, stricter quarantine rules, and better patient care. This, as the city of Wuhan, the epicenter of the outbreak, remains in a lockdown, and the construction of the second emergency hospital is soon to be finished. According to Chinese health authorities, the novel coronavirus has so far killed 491 people and sick more than 24,363 others in mainland in China, making the mortality rate for the virus 2.07% nationally. And now, to have more details about what's happening in China, we go to Beijing with Iramsi Peraza, our correspondent. Welcome.
China has asked the international community to remain calm as the country continues with its effort to contain the outbreak of the 2019 nCoV coronavirus that has so far killed at least 492 people and sick over 23 million others, mostly in mainland China. President Xi Jinping has vowed to implement even stricter measures to halt the spreading of the virus, both nationally and internationally. Meanwhile, Chinese Foreign Minister spokesperson Wang Junjing said has made some progress in containing the outbreak. There are signs that the rate of fatalities is slowing, especially in the Hubei province, which is the epicenter of the virus. The first of the two new hospitals built to tackle the outbreak began receiving patients yesterday. It was built just in 10 days and can receive 1,000 patients, with about 1,400 armed medics treating them. The second emergency hospital, with a capacity for 1,600 patients, is called on the international community to stop discriminating Chinese nationals in their respective country and on social media platforms.
Thank you, Iramsi. That was Iramsi Peraza from Beijing updating us of what's happening there regarding the coronavirus outbreak. Like this, we go for a second break. We'll be right back with more news. Now, when we are back, we talk about Africa and we talk about Palestine. Stay tuned.
Es un problema de un modelo que quiere priorizar el beneficio económico frente a la situación de las personas y los derechos humanos.
Documentary Telesur presents the struggle of popular sectors of Spain for the defense of their rights in the face of the indolence of the state and the large lobbyists, when the drops become rain. Sunday, only on Telesur.
Follow the most important global events through a comprehensive perspective. With a team of journalists in 25 locations around the world to convey our people's reality. From the South. Weekdays. Only on Telesur.
We are back with our news. Kenya's former president, Daniel Arap Moi, has died aged 95, according to an announcement from the current head of state, Uhuru Kenyatta, on Tuesday morning. There was no immediate word of the cause of death, but Moi had reportedly been in and out of the hospital in recent months with breathing difficulties. A former school teacher, he ruled Kenya between 1978 and 2002, making him the country's longest-serving president. Moi leaves behind a mixed legacy despite being labeled a corrupt dictator by his critics. He remained very popular among his supporters.
Despite his shortcomings as human being, there was a good security system in Kenya that the information you would get and react immediately if there is a threat outside or inside the republic against the security, the security of Kenya.
Moi died, and it's a happy day in our country because Moi was a murderer, Moi was a bad man, Moi raped this country, Moi destroyed our past, and even is destroying our future. The president we have today is actually a product of Moi. He's a Moi political orphan. So there's no mourning in this country. The people who are mourning are Moi political orphans. But for the most of Kenyans, actually, it's a relief. This man lived so long with all his evilness. It's actually a surprise why bad people live so long. During Moi days, people disappeared. There was detention without trial. People were tortured. People were killed. There's nothing good to say about Moi.
And we move on to Rwanda because floods and landslides have caused by torrential rains have killed 13 people and injured dozens of others in Rwanda's capital, Kigali. The floods have also swept away dozens of homes, leaving hundreds of people homeless, and the country's meteorology agency has said more heavy rains are expected. Rwanda is characterized by hilly terrain, making it vulnerable to landslide during rainy season. And Somalian authorities have appealed for humanitarian assistance as millions of citizens face acute starvation. According to an assessment by the Somali government and the United Nations, up to 1.3 million people do not enjoy food security and require urgent humanitarian assistance, and nearly 700,000 children under 5 years could become acutely malnourished by the end of the year. Food shortages in Somalia have been attributed to droughts, violence, and recent locust invasion.
4.1 million people across Somalia will continue to face acute food insecurity through mid-2020, including 1.3 million people who need urgent humanitarian assistance.
If the locust does hit cropping areas or grazing areas at the worst time, the damages can be huge, up to 100% where the locust is. That doesn't mean the locust will necessarily affect all parts of the country, but we need to be prepared. So in close coordination with the Minister of Agriculture, we have a plan of action. We are appealing jointly for funding.
And the people of Ireland will vote in a general election this Saturday, and for the first time ever, the Nationalist Party, Sinn Féin, is ahead in the polls. Under the party's leader, Mary Lou McDonald, Sinn Féin has just overtaken the Republic's two traditional parties. In the latest Irish Times survey, Sinn Féin has climbed to 25% ahead of Fianna Fáil with 23%, and the current governing party, Fine Gael, which has fallen to 20%. Sinn Féin is campaigning on more public spending and taxes on the rich to tackle the housing crisis and inequality, as well as its traditional demand for a united Ireland.
I think the penny has perhaps dropped that after almost a century that there is life and politics and government beyond Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. People are openly telling me that they want us in government. It's not just that they want us to have a good electoral day out. I think people have hugely moved on. We now have, as Irish Republicans and our generation of Republicans, we have a peaceful and democratic way to deliver Irish unity. I think Brexit changed things massively, as you know. And I think the conversation now about constitutional change, reunification, has broadened to the extent that it's not simply a Sinn Féin matter. This is now really a national question and a matter of national interest.
An international criminal court has started investigations into Myanmar's alleged violations of human rights against Rohingya Muslims. A team of investigators are set to visit refugee camps in Bangladesh to collect evidence. Almost 1 million Rohingyas fled to the neighboring country after Myanmar security forces launched a crackdown on the minority group on August 2017. The Myanmar military is accused of committing murders and sexual offenses against Rohingya women and girls.
The Office of the Prosecutor, through its investigators, will now be collecting evidence to try and establish the truth of what actually happened to the Rohingyas, to try and find evidence to ensure that there will be justice for the alleged crimes committed against the Rohingyas. This investigation process is going to be carried out by the investigators of the Office of the Prosecutor. It is going to be an independent, impartial, objective, and fair process whose aim is to determine the truth or to uncover the truth of what actually happened with a view to bringing justice to the victims of the crimes.
And Palestinians have gathered at a roundabout built using U.S. aid funds to demonstrate against the controversial Middle East peace planning proposed by President Donald Trump. Activists used white spray paint to obscure U.S. aid logos on the structure located south of the West Bank city of Ramallah. Trump's deal has been received widespread condemnation. With ongoing protests worldwide, it is criticized for not being in line with Palestinian demands and for leaving sizable portions of the occupied West Bank in Israeli hands.
We refuse absolutely all the support from the U.S. aid related to the position of the USA to support the Israeli occupation, and we are here to send a clear message that our struggle will continue to achieve our goals of independent self-determination.
And like this, we come to the end of this news brief, but remember, you can find this and much more other information on our website, cultureenglish.net, where you can read opinion articles, watch special interviews, and of course, do follow up to the most outstanding information happening around the world. You continue with us with Telesur, always together, connecting our global thousands. Until next time, thank you for watching.